Thank you for staying with TVC Breakfast. Well, in recent years, Nigeria and the rest of the world have grappled with high inflation rates from transportation to food prices and other household items, which has had a devastating impact on the Nigerian economy as well as everyday residents who are trying to make ends meet. The latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics pegs the inflation rate at 28.9%. compared to the rate in November, which was put at 28.2%. With petrol and energy on the high side, as well as devaluation of the currency in the country, it causes a ripple effect, affecting cost of goods, transportation, and other areas. And that's what we will be addressing now. We bring in via Zoom from Abuja to discuss this development financial expert Olusegun Elemo. It's good to see you again, Mr. Elemo. Thank you very much for joining us. Yet another, worrying dimension of the state of our economy. What are your thoughts on this latest NBS figures?
Thank you very much for having me this morning. A wonderful New Year to you all at
Right,
TVC.
Happy New Year.
I'm happy to join. Yeah, thank you very much. Going straight to your question. It's indeed a worrying scenario, and every well-meaning Nigerian should be concerned, at the continued increase, especially on food products and living costs generally, because we have a large vulnerable group in the country, and they are the worst hit when it comes to rise in food prices and in cost of living generally. But it's not unexpected. I think we're still trying to moderate from the impact of the subsidy removal and the continued instability we're seeing with the foreign exchange. We will need to retool and rethink policy instruments to see how we can then address this issue headlong so that people can begin to feel some relief.
Well, a report by analysts at KPMG projected that inflation is to hit 30% by December 2023 as a result of the combined influence of fuel subsidy removal and foreign exchange liberalization. We are still just talking about the 28.9%, and it seems, the last time we talked about it, I think it was, way below, maybe 22 or thereabout. What exactly are we not getting right this time around?
Like I said, it's not unexpected. Everyone who is observing the situation and analyzing, the numbers and the impact of, policy decisions that have been taken in the last 7-8 months, will certainly expect this kind of situation. But like I said, it's not something to throw our hands up in the air. When you take this kind of policy measures that have been taken in the last 8 months or thereabout, you will ordinarily, expect, such, economic impact to occur. And what I said is we need to now rethink our policy, instruments, and know where exactly, which sector is the worst hit. Perhaps we look at some special intervention in the agricultural sector and see how we can use, policy instruments to then lower the price of food products. Maybe when the new refineries, now begin production in full capacity, and perhaps maybe when Dangote refinery, even though I've said there's not going to be much impact of that refinery on price of petroleum products. But then is that we can guarantee supply, and once that is there, maybe a little margin in terms of prices. But what is most important is that we have all the necessary, for instance, the Dangote refinery is going to be producing fertilizer. One of the major problems we have with the agricultural sector is also fertilizer. And then, securing, harvest and ensuring that we're able to, bring whatever is harvested in the farm to the market and guarantee supply of food products in the market that can then moderate prices. So all of that are things that policymakers now need to focus on. Because like I said, even when you look at the human hierarchy of need, food is very, very important. And then you can talk about clothing, shelter, and all of that. So this time around, we need to concentrate on those sectors that are worst hit and are hitting badly on vulnerable groups in the country.
Right. Let's build up on the point that you just made, and it's good you mentioned the resumption or the beginning of oil production or crude oil production, so to speak, at the Dangote refinery. But if you could measure, what the deliverables, the expected deliverables, of course, the big question on many Nigerians' minds right now is, will it necessitate a reduction in the price of petrol? And, what other gains should Nigerians be expecting from this news of oil production or oil refining, rather, at this refinery, and how soon?
Well, you see, like many others have also said, whatever is produced at the Dangote refinery and the petrochemical plant is not going to so much impact on price of petroleum products locally. And the reason is because petroleum products are priced at universal rates. Well, for instance, you buy crude oil, at the universal rate, and then you sell refined petroleum products at universal rate. Because the refinery itself is not just going to serve the Nigerian market, it's perhaps going to serve the sub-region and the part of the continent. So you are not going to denominate the prices of petroleum products that are coming from that refinery in Naira, except the Dangote group has a special consideration for Nigeria. I mean, in this case, the Nigerian government. You're not going to, denominate the price of commodities from there in Naira. And if you're now going to denominate it in dollars, for instance, which is what is obtainable currently, it means it's going to be a universal rate, given the global, market situation. That is not going to impact, significantly on local prices of petroleum products. In any case, what we are looking at in terms of impact on local petroleum products is the freight charges of the importation from wherever it's coming from to land on the Nigerian shore. When you then disaggregate that per liter cost of freight charges, I mean, how significant is it really? So those are the considerations. But in terms of what benefits are going to come from the plant, like I said, the plant is going to churn out fertilizer. So that's one benefit that then will secure agricultural sector and help reflect agricultural products in the country, and then in turn food security. Also is that the foreign exchange. For instance, if we're now having not just the Nigerian market, patronizing the Dangote, petrochemical plant, then we're certainly going to have, maybe other, patronage from the sub-region and a part of the continent. That means that whatever inflow comes in terms of foreign exchange, because like I said, the products are going to be priced at a universal currency, which means that people are going to purchase the products in dollars. Whatever dollar inflow or whatever foreign exchange inflow that then comes to the country is going to be banked in Nigeria and will be available for use by the Nigerian government. It then limits the pressure on the foreign exchange market. Those are the considerations for me. And I think that in the long term, or in the medium to the long term, we are going to see the impact of such, kickoff of the refinery. And then perhaps when Port Harcourt come on stream and other, refinery.
Right. Well, the continued rise in inflation has been attributed to, the removal of petrol subsidies and devaluation of the official exchange rate. And if you talk to a common man on the streets, they will tell you that they said it was the only action that we could take to, put the nation back on the right trajectory. But this continues to bring more difficulty than, the ease to the Nigerian people. So in what way do you feel that one can, or the government, or even you as an economist, can make the ordinary man understand that, okay, we just have to go through these difficult times, as the president will always say, and then enjoy it later on? Is that the way you are also seeing it?
You see, that statement is right, that the pain is temporary and the gain will come very soon. It's a statement of fact that cannot be gainsaid. But then, that the gain will come very soon is also dependent on certain actions, policy actions. The gain will not just appear. It's not going to be a miraculous gain as a result of a policy decision that you have taken. You will have to work your way to it. And how do you then work your way to it? That's the focus of the discussion here. For the common man the ordinary Nigerian, of course, I'm also ordinary, and I'm looking at the situation very carefully, and it's also impacting myself. Like you as well, everybody's buying petroleum products, you're buying food products, and you can tell how much you were spending a year ago and how much you're spending now. So whether your income has also, multiplied in that dimension to cater for whatever inflation increase that you're experiencing is another thing entirely. And I'm sure that you can also attest to it. But then is that those decisions needed to be taken. And I'll give you instances. For instance, about a year or two ago, government, subnational government, literally couldn't pay salaries. We were literally printing money to pay salaries and cater to government's responsibilities. You are aware how much was printed under the former, governor of the central bank. We're still dealing with that. So the fact that we were printing money shows that the economy, was somewhat in shambles, was not in shape, and the president needed to set things in order. There was no way you can continue to print money to moderate the economy. That will even worsen the situation we're in if the president had not taken the decision he took, about 8 months thereabout ago. So those decisions, like I said, needed to have been taken. The decision to remove petroleum subsidy and then to intervene in the foreign exchange market. And now you can see the fact distribution, the Federal Account Allocation Committee distribution to states. A few months ago, states, the country could barely share maybe 500 billion naira on a monthly basis. Now we're talking about $1 trillion plus that is being shared to states and the federal government. The question is, what are we using the money for? Those are the questions. And you see, for you to achieve your policy objectives, certainly you need finances. Now, the money is there to spend, but are we actually addressing those policy bottlenecks that are affecting the economy? The governors will have to sit up. Everything cannot be on the president. And that we need to get that right. We're federating, a federal system of government. Yes, we still have some areas that we need to, address in terms of, federalism. But again, we are what we had today. The governors will have to sit up, and if the governors are then finding it difficult to address some of these issues, they will also have to develop powers at their own level to other subnational entities like the local councils and the local governments, and see how we can then hold those accountable as well. Perhaps maybe those ones are closer to the people that will help the economy, for instance, the farmers and other players in the economy. So those are the issues. We have to retool and rethink, like I said, our policy instrumental. And the truth is, if inflation continues to rise as it's been in the last couple of months, it means that we're not doing, and there are things we're not doing right, and we need to check it. The earlier we do that, the better it is for everyone.
All right, and amidst all of this, you've given some pointers as to perhaps what the government can do in the meantime to generate some form of short and medium reprieves. And then there is also the poverty alleviation programs of the government, which has sadly been rocked by scandals of late. But so many talking points have also arisen about the need for government to cut down on its expenditure. And then again, there is the school of thought that says government is not even spending enough. What are your thoughts on what government can do in this regard?
I'll take on from the crisis with the poverty alleviation programs, the humanitarian ministry. It's quite unfortunate, but really, are we going to bury our hands in the bury our heads in the sand like an ostrich and assume that this thing is just happening? No, it's not just happening. The interventions that have been provided even under the former president weren't delivering results. That's the truth. And you know that the poverty gap have been widening, not just under the current administration, even the previous administration who promised to lift 100 million out of poverty. The poverty gap had been widening. And then it showed that the interventions, the policy interventions, especially from the humanitarian ministry, around the whatever, the nomenclatures we have for the programs, and we're not delivering results. We're not delivering results. What we have just seen now is the reason for those policy measures not delivering results, which show that we've been mismanaging the monies. We've not been accounting for the funds, and the funds have not been going to the right people. Let's not deceive ourselves. So I'm happy that the president has suspended the program. The question is, when the program is resuscitated, what will be the structure of the program? How will people be held accountable? What will be the dimension of delivery for the program?
But what should be the way to go? Looking at how it has, earned so many knocks, people are also saying that perhaps is that even what Nigerians need? Seeing that this way of giving out sums of money to Nigerians is prone with so many, so many issues, especially corruption. So what should be the way to go to alleviate poverty in the land?
There is no problem in giving, in providing conditional cash transfers. It's not just Nigeria that is providing it. There are other countries that are providing as a form of social protection. There's no problem in that. There are vulnerable groups that are not working and are not willing to work. Are you going to leave them to die? No. The country has to be responsible for them. And that's why people are paying taxes anyway, so that you can collect as much you can from those who are capable, and you can help those who are not capable to then become capable of paying taxes. And in the end, you will still have a segment of the population that are still going to depend on taxpayers. That's just the way it is. So there's no problem in providing conditional cash transfer. Well, it is conditional. What are the conditions? Are you really, hinged on those conditions that for which you are providing the cash transfers to the people, or you're just providing cash transfers to anybody, even those who can afford it? And that's the whole, problem we've also faced with subsidy. People say, no, the president shouldn't have removed the subsidy. And I'm saying, no, what do you mean? But if you say that the president shouldn't have removed the subsidy, it means that I should be better subsidized than someone who is earning far higher. For instance, I gave examples at that time that if a Dangote vehicle, a vehicle that, the chairman of Dangote Group is riding in, drives into a filling station in Nigeria on the Nigerian soil, he's going to buy petroleum products at the same price that I am going to buy. Are you saying that I earn the same level of income as the chairman of Dangote Group? So those are the issues. So when you bring it to this issue of conditional cash transfer, I am saying that there's no problem with the program. The program can continue. The issue we have is the delivery methods and the fact that we are not holding people accountable. And for instance, under the former administration, you saw during the COVID-19, where cash were, provided to people, the conditional cash transfers were given to people in cash. not even bank transfers, in a health emergency situation like the COVID-19, where we said people should, socially distance themselves. I mean, and we thought nothing was wrong with the program. No, certainly things were wrong.
Right.
So what I think should be done, like you said, is let's stick to the delivery methods that will provide results. For instance, if we're going to provide the conditional cash transfer, we're going to use data, to identify the vulnerable groups and ensure that those that are getting these interventions are actually the vulnerable groups, which can be seen. I mean, there is the data there.
That's
you can use the BVN to identify the inflows into their bank accounts.
Yeah, Mr.
And then
Lemon,
ensure that whatever cash you are providing is flowing into their, bank accounts directly.
Well, talking about inflation, you see, the thing with inflation is that it is not very difficult to turn around. Because if you look at the factors causing it, from the diesel to the foreign exchange, etc., most of these things are not within the control of the government. So the question is, I mean, the issue there is that it's a runaway inflation. And the question there is, how can individuals and businesses, adapt their financial strategies to, mitigate or navigate the challenges posed by this inflation?
Well, it will be that it will be
there was Intel.
All right, Mr. Demo, looks like we had just something there, an interference. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So could you proceed if you can hear us?
It will be that businesses will have to provide some sort of cover for themselves. For instance, looking at your overheads, and if, for instance, like you said, the cost of diesel for many businesses, I don't know how much renewable energy can power some of those businesses that are badly hit with the price of cost of energy, at this time. But then is that businesses will have to, rethink their overheads and see how they can lower, for instance, energy costs. Perhaps move from fossil fuel to renewable energy. That will also require some huge investments because if you are using, fossil fuel at a particular level to power your industry or how much of renewable fuel to power that industry?
All right, Olusegun Elemo, we thank you very much. Apologies again for the interference that we appear to be getting now, but we've also run out of time. But we say a very big thank you very much for all your contributions, valid points that you have made today on the program. Have a great day, Olusegun Elemo. All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. We're hitting the top of the